Alright, I apologize for the poor quality. I'm actually recording all of this on my phone. Thought I'd share the story of my last solo woodland adventure. So, decided to go for a hike, practice bushcraft skills, different things, get into the woods and really just have fun. So I hike in, I don't know, a little over a mile into the woods at a site that me and my friends refer to as Camp Leechwood. I start chopping wood, chop wood for a little bit. I was going to make a platform out of paracord and wood that I salvaged. Nothing green, nothing that I had freshly cut down or anything like that. Just harmless practice. Had to go down the steep hill to get out to that site. Had to cross this flooded stream, so I had to go this wonky roundabout route. Not an issue. Know those woods quite well, as do my friends. So I'm chopping wood, and I feel like a sting. My memory's really, really hazy. There's lots of holes in my memory. There's gaps, which is normal with injury and adrenaline and all of that. So I remember looking down at my left hand, and I see that it's not all there. Pretty sobering moment. I text my roommate and asked if he had left for work yet, because why not? I'm in shock. Doesn't have to make sense. And then I texted him help. In my memory, I immediately called him after that and told him where I was, what had happened, in a very panicked, squeaky voice, and that was my memory. What actually occurred is fingers get chopped off, 2 of them. My pinky and my ring finger on my left hand. I apply a tourniquet to stop the bleeding as soon as possible. I sit down, text him. I blacked out for approximately 10 minutes, I believe, after the 2 texts to him, and then I called him. I get off the phone with him, and I start walking towards the edge of the stream. He was the first person I called because he knows those woods. I say Camp Leechwood. Boom, he knows exactly where I'm at, and he can guide people to where my fingers were. I hadn't thought of bringing them with me. So I get to the edge of the stream, and I call 911. They didn't take me seriously at first, which I don't blame them for, because I work for them. I'm a 911 operator. I'm a dispatcher. Charles City Police Department. Still haven't stopped catching hell for it, and it's been 3 months. All in good humor. So I explained to them what happened and where the nearest place an ambulance could park. And then get off the phone with them. I cross the stream, and I have to go up this huge embankment. Very, very steep. I get to the top of it, and for some unbeknownst reason to me, I decided to take a selfie of my left hand with the tourniquet on at the top of the hill. Yeah. After that, I call my friend Kurt. I tell him I've had an accident in the woods. I need you to keep me talking, keep me conscious. He did a good job of that. He kept me talking, kept me moving. I hiked all the way out on the phone with him. I get to the edge of the woods, and there's a firefighter, volunteer firefighter from Floyd Fire Department there. So I talked to him. I thought I hung up. I just put my phone in my pocket. I go to sit on the tailgate of his truck, and it's too high up, so I kind of slump in front of my car. Lose a few minutes there. State Patrol shows up. Deputies show up. Ambulance shows up. One of my coworkers, he's a police officer, works on Floyd Fire Department, showed up as part of Floyd Fire. I know the paramedics. I talk to them all the time through work. Start cracking jokes with them as I'm loaded up. They finally get me some pain meds as quickly as they can. Pretty miserable at that point, because once I was in the ambulance, I knew it was going to be okay. Shock, adrenaline, etc. started to wear off a little bit, so the pain really started happening. They had to decide whether or not to airlift me. That my coworker had launched a helicopter for me. They declined the helicopter, decided to just take me straight to the nearest hospital that would work. I think the trip took 20 minutes total. It's normally like 35-minute drive, but lights and sirens. On the trip, they cut off my coat, my beloved coat, with my permission, and I called my mom. My mom didn't believe me at all at first, because I was like, oh, it was a terrible hike. I give it 2 out of 10. And shit. Fentanyl. She didn't believe me at first, and finally she was like, holy shit, this is real. So I get to the hospital. State Patrol shows up at the same time with my fingers. They were just going into the woods to retrieve the fingers when I had left with Calvin. Nurse asks him, how far over the speed limit did you go? And he's like, double. So he's doing like 130, 140 to get my fingers there as quickly as possible for the highest chance of reattachment. The fentanyl that I was given in the ambulance had wore off at this point. There was no doctor's order to give me pain meds. I went 10 minutes without any form of pain meds after a recent amputation of 2 fingers. The doctor did come in, looked at it, said, we can't reattach. I believe a part of my knuckle fell out on the hike. They had to do x-rays, so they had to manipulate my hand, move it around, etc. Change up the bandaging, and all sorts of stuff. So I go into surgery. I'm in and out of surgery quickly. No complications. Healing went well. Stayed a week at my mom's house to get used to not using my left hand as much, get used to having an amputation. Go back. I'm then allowed to start using my left hand a little bit. It's got to be bandaged. No complications with infection. I got incredibly lucky with that. I'm miraculously healed for the 3-month mark. I meet with Arm Dynamics in a couple weeks to discuss prosthetics. Really cool prosthetics that they have for fingers. It's the Naked Prosthetics MCP driver is what I'm looking at. I have like 90% function on my hand, which would be awesome. But the lesson to be learned from all this is I've been going to the woods since I was 6. I'm 33 years old. I know the woods well. I know how to handle a knife. I know how to chop wood. I know how to do all these different things. None of that matters. Complacency causes injury, or worse. Stupid mistake on my part. Only took half a second for this to happen. One swing of a knife, not paying attention. Yeah, it's crazy. But I get a lot of questions on what happened, etc., and I figure, why not just upload it to YouTube? So, there you go. Any questions, leave in the comments. Share this if you want to. So, yeah, good times.